Hi, and welcome back to It's Not Rocket Science 5 questions over coffee, which is what I have in front of me here. I hope my Edmund has got something similar. Edmund, well done. I'm delighted today to be joined by Edmund Bradford. Edmund is a hugely experienced founder, owner, and managing director of Market to Win, which produces sales and marketing and sustainability games for university business schools and corporations. And it's going to be a fascinating conversation. Not only that, he's the author of Marketing Navigation, How to Keep Your Marketing Plan on Course to Implementation Success, which I think is going to be brilliant. I'll put links to that in the show notes. He's a guest speaker at many universities, teaching associate at Warwick University, great university in England, and a judge at the International Business Awards. And I know he's going to make mention of some other judging and things that he's going to be doing. So, Edmund, welcome to It's Not Rocket Science 5 questions over coffee.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Edmund, do you want to just start off by trying to describe, who it is that you're trying to reach with not only the stuff you do at Market to Win, but also all of the university and business school stuff that you help students with?
Yeah, sure. And it's I'll try and keep it quick because it's not an easy question to answer, actually.
I'm just going to take a
as
coffee
you can tell from the introduction. But I think we have two broad kind of ideal clients, if you like. So one is on the academic side, the education side. So those business schools that you mentioned at the start, university business schools, wherever they are around the world. So our games are online, so they don't have to be a brilliant business school like Warwick. They could be anywhere in the world, and our clients are all over the place. I'm doing a Middle East chat after we finish here. So yeah, university business schools, one type of client, and then on the corporate side, yeah, I think sort of the big corporations are also a really good client for us. Airbus is one of our clients as well. So that type of big, complicated international organization is also a great client for us to work with.
And the work you do with these challenges, these cups, they're ways of helping people as well, aren't they? They're things that you bring to really sort of help challenge people to think more about what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think the sort of the challenges that they have. I think that it's interesting because the challenges are very similar. Whether you're a business school or a big corporation, you're both competing in a very intense marketplace. Business schools, even in the UK, business schools have lots of competition, especially at sort of master's level, especially MBA level. It goes right down to undergraduate level as well. Often competing on a global stage. And the same, of course, with big corporations. We know they live in highly competitive and fast changing markets. So the kind of challenge they both share in a way is how to get control of that and how to develop a kind of proactive strategy to get through all that. And my work, if you like, whether it's doing the game stuff or just standing up there and doing a bit of training, it's often around helping them to get a growth strategy together that will help them either do it now if it's a corporation or help them do it in the future if they're a student at the university. So finding a way through that.
Yeah, and so what is it that others are doing, which you find these approaches, particularly with things like Market to Win? I'll just put your website on the screen for people to see, which is going across markettowin.com. Well, what is it that you're finding that others are doing where Market to Win does differently? What is it they've tried, other people have tried before, which you're trying to sort of help them to get through?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. The market, even my market, if I'm talking about developing, strategies, it's a very crowded market. You've got the big consultancies in there as well as individuals. And actually, I started Market to Win 18 years ago because one of my big corporate clients at the time, we were doing some strategy work with them, and we were doing the usual stuff of coming in there, running a 2-day workshop with lots of engineers and other functions in the room. We'd produce, in this case, a marketing plan on a flip chart and then we'd walk off, and I know damn well that they're not going to look at it for another 12 months until we have the next workshop. So I was thinking this isn't right. And we actually went into a 2-day session with that client, where it wasn't my session, it was another session run by another company. And they were teaching the engineers how to understand profit. And what really made a difference was the fact they had a game, a little very simple table game that was used to help them learn profit. And it was really transformative. The whole experience was transformative. And so I thought back then, sort of 18 years ago, that what I needed to do, if I was going to help, my clients understand, the importance of getting a business strategy, particularly an external market strategy right, is that we needed to experience it a bit. And so we developed a game back 18 years ago, and we started to play with that. And now the idea that's obviously evolved over many years. And so now the idea is that we have teams of people playing this online game against each other in a sort of a fictionalized world, always based on a real industry, but we've kind of gamed it. And they learn, all the issues that you have to deal with as a chief marketing officer or as a CEO in developing a successful competitive strategy. So I think, and I think in a nutshell, what do we do that others don't? It's the game, and it gives them the skill, not just the knowledge from reading books or attending lectures or going to training, but because we're practicing it, it gives them
practice
of actually applying some of those really good ideas.
Deliberate practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's all in little cycles. It's not let's read a book for 3 months and then execute for 3 months. It's about let's doing that, over, ideally, it could be a 2-day workshop, or it could be, if it's a university, running it over several weeks during a semester. So yeah, that learn it, practice it continuously over different decision rounds. Hopefully, at the end of it, everybody comes out with a bit more, a better competence in the area, and with a bit of enjoyment of the actual process as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think the act of practice, deliberate practice, I mean, it's a huge element of learning, isn't it? Too many people learn by doing, and we don't give them enough opportunity to learn in a safe way, in a safe environment where failure is actually part of the learning process. I mean, I often say to people I work with, clients of mine, babies don't learn to walk by standing there and going, right, now I need to start running. They fall on their bottoms several times. And as you get up from that, you think, well, that's not the way to do it. The great quote of Edison, on one of his experiments, it's failed when, he started scribbling notes. His assistant said to him, well, why are you taking about that? It was a failure. He said, yes, but if I want to do that again, I now know how to do it. And that's a great example of sort of learning by doing something and not necessarily getting it right, but saying, well, now I know what not to do, or I know what to do different next time. Learning by doing is a huge way of doing it.
Yeah, and I totally agree, Stuart. And I sometimes learn, even in my own experience, from looking at others, you learn more from failures than you do from successes. And I know the world is full of examples of successful companies. Apple is always mentioned in marketing courses, but I find the companies that have failed, the Carillions of this world, the something that sort of gone from success to failure very quickly. I find that very fascinating. And how did that happen, and what went wrong? And we can learn more from that. Like a post-mortem. There's a great article in the Harvard Business Review about doing a post-mortem on a project, and we learn more from that post-mortem than we do on actually just exploring successful companies, because often a company like Apple, it's got the budget, it's got the experience, it's got the skills already there that we don't have. So maybe we can learn from looking at failures.
Yeah, I love your idea of the post-mortem. I often think that we don't spend nearly enough time looking at those post-mortems and learning from them, do we? Too many times people find that sort of, it's do the post-mortem, stick it on a shelf in a report, never look at it again, in the same way they don't look at their strategy ever again. It's a document that's written, nobody ever looks on it. I like sometimes sort of encouraging people to do what I call the pre-mortem.
Yes.
Which is, think about what could possibly go wrong.
Yes.
Right
yes.
now, let's avoid doing that. Let's
Yes,
do the post-mortem up front. This has all gone horribly wrong. Right now, let's find a way of not doing any of that.
Yes, that's right. And I think that was the point behind that article I mentioned, I think, Stuart, as well.
It
and I
did.
think they looked at NASA and what went wrong with the Challenger shuttle. And as you know from reading the article, the issue is often about the culture in the organization. and the
Yeah.
fact that the culture does not allow. We know this in the UK. We see it in the post office. We see it in the NHS. The culture doesn't allow, criticism,
Yes.
whistleblowing. Yeah, it's like, no, so that's not right. It doesn't fit our thinking. So yeah, so often the pre-mortem is that idea of saying, well, let's assume things go well. All right, what that look like, and what would bad look like? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then putting that back into your thinking. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of different corners and angles and aspects of strategy, and I find the thing I found, and it probably twigged a few years ago for me, Stuart, having been in the business for about 30 years. It only took me a few years ago that the trouble with strategy is it's the most misused word in business. You can add the word strategy to anything and think you've done it. So I can have a pricing strategy by putting the word strategy on the end of it. I can have a promotion strategy. I can have a Facebook strategy. I can have a social media strategy. I can have any strategy by putting the word at the end of it. And therefore I think that I'm strategic. But the research has shown actually that particularly marketers are actually not very good at being strategic, and worse than that, they don't know they're not very good. That's the problem.
I'm not going to comment on those of us that haven't yet managed to work out that we are not quite as good as we think we are, or indeed we're actually so stupid that we can't work out how good we are or not good at something. We'll leave that to politicians. So Edmund, is there a valuable free gift you can leave people? I mean, obviously we can go to Market to Win and learn a little bit more about what you're up to, but is there anything there that you can sort of point us to, which would be a great way of getting value from this idea of approaching things with a learning head on and the practice to go with it?
Yeah, sure. There's two places you can go to. So first of all, yeah, the markettowin.com website's really good. If I don't say so myself, we are starting. Well, we are starting. What's interesting there is that we are starting a new competition in sustainability, which we haven't really talked about yet, but in sustainability, and I think sustainability has got a fascinating impact on strategy. And if you want to participate in that competition, it's called the Sustainability World Cup. Just go to the Market to Win website, go to our simulations menu, and you'll see the Sustainability World Cup under the simulations menu there. So go there, have a look at that, get in contact with us if you're interested in participating, because that's going to be running from April over a few weeks. So it's a really good opportunity for you to learn some of these ideas. So that's option number one. And option number two, we actually have an academy site where we put lots of videos and tutorials, etc. on there, and there's a couple of good free ones on there. So if you go also to www.markettowin.academy, okay, which is a different website, then you'll see some interesting videos that we've done on different aspects of strategy as well. Okay, so you just sign in for free, and some of those tools are really good. Like, for example, we've got a really good video on how to do a good SWOT analysis, which is always done badly when I look at them. So there's a good video there, which your next SWOT should be a better SWOT than your last SWOT after watching that particular video.
I've stuck the link on there, which is www.markettowin.academy.
That's it. Thank you.
And thoroughly suggest you go and check some of that, because I know I've gone and looked at that, and obviously looked at the Sustainability Cup, which I hope we might get an opportunity to talk about if I come to a question in a minute where I ask you to sort of ask a question I shouldn't have asked. There's an opportunity for you, Edmund. Anyway, let's not leap ahead. Obviously, you're an author yourself. You've written a book. Are there any other books or courses or anything else that you think people should be using as their inspiration for practicing in a safe way their strategies before they put them into place?
Yeah, I think I'll recommend a few. I think on the sort of marketing side, should we say, there's this one, all right, which is the sort of Bible. Yeah, that's the Marketing Plans book. Okay, so that's by Professor Malcolm McDonald and Hugh Wilson. All right, so that's a really good book in terms of how to write a marketing plan, a strategic marketing plan. That's the one that we mentioned at the start. My one, if I can plug it, on the execution side. Yeah, so that's how to execute your plan. So those two books together, is all about how to think about strategy, write it in a good plan, and execute it.
And then do it.
And do it, yeah. And then the final one I'm going to mention in terms of sort of the strategy stuff, which is more on the sustainability side. This is one that you can tell because I've got lots of post-it notes in there. So well read. That one's brilliant. I mean, that's about, it's called reimagining capitalism, how business can save the world. And it's trying to get to that sweet spot, which we do in the new Sustain to Win simulation, which is about, how do we have a company that generates profits for shareholders, but is also a force for good in the world.
Yeah,
and Rebecca Henderson, Professor Henderson, there, she's done a really good job of talking about how that can be done. So those, if you want to, 3 recommendations there, those are really good books.
Obviously, we could spend the next 20 years debating how to make your organization both a force for good and yet still return value to stakeholders. But let's gloss over that before we get too deep in it, because I think that is a fascinating subject. I know it's the subject of many MBA theses in the past, some of which I'm sure you've been subjected to, unless you've managed to find your way out of that. So let's get on to our 4th question before we get too deep into that. I'd love to sort of spend more time talking to you about that one. But is there a question I haven't yet asked you? Is there something I haven't yet sort of come to you and sort of said, this is the killer question? If I was to give you the opportunity to ask what that killer question was, Edmund, what would it be? And then obviously once you've asked it, you will be the only person that we could possibly turn to answer it for us.
Yeah, I think the question is, what's the hidden skill that you need to be a great leader? I would say, for anyone that wants to be a great leader, for whatever age you are. And I would say, and I've been through all this myself, and I was just very, very lucky in my early career, but it's kept with me all through my life, is change. If you, whatever function you're in, whether it's finance, law, whatever you're doing, basically, all right, marketing, sustainability, whatever it is, if you want to be successful in life, you have to drive through change. And that doesn't mean to say that you need to be, somebody up front, an Elon Musk, a Steve Jobs, anything like that, as Richard Branson, a famous face. You can lead change, as we used to call it in my old days. You can lead from behind, sort of a quiet. You do it quietly. So that's a whole science, Stuart, of change. And whatever you're doing, I think you're never too late to start reading up on that particular subject. My final book, nothing to do with me. Final book, I would say, a good place to start is that man there, John P. Cotter. I probably don't have his latest book. That's probably an older version. But Leading Change by, there we go, try and get it on the slide. Leading Change on the screen by John P. Cotter. Just go to his website. Go look up Leading Change, John P. Cotter. I think it's cotter.com or something. But he's got some really good principles of how to lead change. Everything you do, whether it's in your business life, personal life, whatever it is, social life, whether you're working in a sports club, whatever you're doing, it's about changing things, processes, people, behaviors, organizations, and that is that's something everybody needs to understand.
Edmund, we've reached the end of the 5 questions over coffee, but one thing I'm burning to ask you about, so I'm going to deviate from my normal 5 questions. I'm going to ask you a 6th question. Can you please give us a little more detail on what the Sustainability Cup is? Just once again, tell us, where do we find details, what it is you're looking for in terms of people sort of getting involved in that, and then I'll promise I'll let you go before I start then down the path of how do we make organizations in this capitalist world be both a force for good and a force for change.
Yeah, and that's that subject, by the way, Stuart, is one that has a lot of research. More research is needed, and there's a lot of discussion about it. That's definitely not a closed subject. So the Sustainability World Cup is a new competition that we're putting together. It uses our new Sustain to Win simulation, so it's game-based learning. And what we're looking for is for teams, just like the World Cup, we're looking for teams from around the world to participate in the World Cup. We're going to have some nice awards handed out at the end. We've got a nice bunch of judges, Stuart, lined up, I believe.
I've heard some of them are excellent. Edmund.
Yeah, some of them are excellent judges. So we've got a fantastic set of judges to judge it, and it's really two things. It's a course and a competition. So it's about playing the game, and just like anyone that plays our games, they learn from playing the game, but also. So that's the serious side. All right, so that's the serious side. But the fun bit is that because it's a game, there's some nice awards at the end, and there's some great, how good it would be, wouldn't it, if someone on this call signed up to play the game and ended up being our sort of sustainability leader, sustainability champion of 2024. I mean, what a great title to have on their CV. So a chance to practice some of the ideas that we've been talking about today in a safe environment. And to get there, just go to the market2win.com website, www.market2win.com, not the academy one, so that's on the .com one, and look for the simulations menu along the top, and you see on the drop down it will say the Sustainability World Cup. Okay, and go there and sign up, or just drop me a message, and we'll be delighted to send you more information.
Edmund, I'm looking forward enormously to seeing what comes out of that. I know there's going to be a sort of a bit of a social media push over the next few weeks to really sort of launch this. I think it's a great initiative. I mean, it's brilliant not only for people in universities, school children, but also those who are currently starting out in business, to start to get a team around them to think about these challenges and to really push forward with how do you make your business sustainable, not only sustainable for an environmental and a positive impact upon the world, but how do you make it sustainable so that in years to come, it's not some unchanged, unwanted commercial organization, but it's something that learns to adapt, change, generate ideas, innovate, and continue. I mean, the fact that we don't have enough organizations that have been surviving 300, 400, 500 years because they have learned to adapt and change and be adaptable sometimes surprises me, because we do tend to be too short term. So I really hope that people grasp hold of the Sustainability World Cup, look at it as an opportunity to start rethinking how to make the organization both a force for good in their community, with their stakeholders, as well as continue to be profitable for years to come. Edmund, I think it's been a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes. I know you are so busy. You are going to rush off now and be all over the rest of the world trying to do the same thing.
I'll put it into action. Yeah, putting into action, Stuart. Yeah, putting into action.
I love that.
The class of
really
students.
Do. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I really appreciate it. And listen, just one last comment. If you would like to join the newsletter and get information about some of the brilliant people we had a comment about the book that Edmund suggested. So if you want to get on, make comments, ask questions of the guests, go to this address, which is link.thecompleteapproach.co.uk/newsletter. That's link.thecompleteapproach.co.uk/newsletter. You will get an email from me, very simple, just sort of announcing what's going on, who the guest is going to be. So you get the opportunity to join live on LinkedIn and show that you get guests like this. I'm just going to show Annie Dunning has just commented, "It's always such an education to work with you, Ed, at the University of Portsmouth." So you're making your way all the way from Warwick University to Portsmouth University in the blink of an eye. Brilliantly done, Ed. Thank you, Annie.
That's very nice. Nice for you, Annie.
Coming on and letting us know that Ed is as decent a chap to work with as he appears. And with that, Ed, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I'm just going to play the outro, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
My pleasure.